This is the Banks Idash that I use to record a lot of my stuff and also monitor parameters as I drive. There's three different things you can do with this thing, the way I see it. You can monitor, real-time parameters as you're going along. There's about 5 different screens you can cycle to. I'll show you that in a minute. And then the other thing is you can log up to 100 parameters. I'm probably logging close to that. Doesn't hurt to log them all. Log all you can. That's what I say. It's doesn't cost you anything. This 32 gig SD card will last forever, a year probably, and it loads right into an Excel spreadsheet, which is also very efficient. But anyway, some of the questions I've had is what do I log, and just general questions on how do you change things, how do you set things up. And so I'm going to go through that a little bit. Keep in mind that what you see on this screen right here is totally different than what you're logging. It's two different things. You can have anything you want up here to look at real time, and you can be logging whatever you want on the log file. And right now on this thing, I've been playing with it so much, I've got random, just a bunch of random stuff on it. So it's not exactly how I would have it if I was going cross country, but we'll take a look at it and you'll get the idea, and you can look at whatever you want to look at. But right now what I have up here is the EGT1, which is right behind the turbo. I use that for cool down. And right here I got the EGT3, which is at the DPF filter, which tells you what the temperature is in there. And it also helps if you're in a regen or something, you can watch that temperature. So this second one is the turbine. Now there's two turbine parameters. This one, the VT command, that's what the ECM is telling it that it wants the turbine to put out, which is 30%. That's in percent right here. This is not the turbine RPMs. We have that in another place. You could put it up here though if you want to look at RPMs. The VGT position is the actual position. So this is a really easy way to see whether your turbine actuator is doing what it's supposed to. You can see it's on 30% right there. Here's the EGR right here. The ECM is saying I want 69%. The position of the EGR valve is 69%. So you can see that that's working like it should. So, people say, well, you should clean your EGR at 64,000 miles. Well, it's not required on this truck. 2013 and up, you don't really need to service it. But if you're worried about it and you've got one of these things, then you can monitor it and see if it's doing what it's supposed to do. By the way, I'm not affiliated with Banks in any way. I'm not promoting this thing. As far as I know, though, it's the best for logging because it's just logs continuously. I really like the Edge products, but the problem with the Edge Insight is you can't log with just a few minutes at a time. At least the one I had was like that. This one you can log for months and months and months. So, and then down here I got the battery voltage. Battery voltage with the little asterisk there, that's the bus voltage, and then the 13.9 is the ECM voltage. So let's change screens here. And the way I change screens, or the way anybody changes screens on this thing, is to, and you can see that little green light right there means you're logging. Now, let's go ahead and hold this down and we'll go to page 2. Page 2, you can see I got my gears, park neutral, and the torque converter is unlocked. I've got speed here, and like I say, this is just some random stuff I threw up there, just demonstration and piddling around with it and stuff. The VT command and the VT position. Okay, we saw that on the last one, that's 30%. Turbo RPMs, 10.2 thousand RPMs, so that's 10,600 RPMs. And then as your boost pressure, which is nothing because we're just sitting here idling, wasting fuel. Okay, and then we've seen this already. Just about every one of these screens I like to keep my EGT on because I want to know what my temperature is there and whether I'm towing or regardless of what I'm doing for cool down purposes, that sort of thing. Now this is fuel. in gallons per hour. That's 0.9. So it's basically a gallon an hour right now that it's costing me to do this video. And then you got your DPF regen, which is 31%. In other words, 100% it goes into regen. And then look, the damn thing is falling off. I don't know why it won't stick. If I've got any complaint about this Banks Idash, is the quality. It's just kind of cheesy, cheap plastic, but it works, and it works really well. And the recording, you can get them without the recording feature for about half the price, but to be able to record was well worth it for me. So, and we're idling. You can see I'm starting to get some EGTs. So anyway, so there's your DPF regen, and you got your boost. We saw that already. So there's some redundant stuff. I understand that. Don't judge this as something that I always use. DPF regen, same thing. Regen is off right now. If it came on, you'd see that come on. AGT, same thing as before. Let's go to another one. Now this one's for the real nerd. So you can see I got my RPMs. I've got my fast idle on at 1450 RPMs. Boost is 0. There's your EGT1. Like I said, I have EGT on just about every screen because I want to know what it is. My DPF regen again. And then what the hell is this? This is our exhaust pressure in PSIA. So it's 14.7. PSIA is going to run. Basically, you have no exhaust pressure here because 14, maybe a tenth, because 14.7 is atmospheric pressure here in Louisiana. So, and this is PSIA. So you take 14.7 away from PSIA to get gauge pressure, which is 0. IAT is your intake air temperature. So that is the last stop for the air to measure the air temperature before it goes actually into the engine. It's downstream of your grid heater, it's downstream of everything, and it's right there on your intake manifold, and it's running 151 degrees right now. The cooler that is, the better, because engines like cool air. They make more horsepower with cool, dense air. The hotter the air, the less dense it is. And so anyway, that's for another time. Then we got density altitude right here, which I like to look at because it's kind of an aviation thing, but in a way, but it gives you an idea. It's the same thing on a truck though, because you're looking at 1,540 feet density altitude. So what that means is that this truck is operating as though it was at 1,540 feet altitude. Well, we're at sea level right now, I can tell you that. We might be 25 foot above sea level where we at this particular location. Okay, we're back where we were. So now, let's get into how you change these things, etc. If I wanted to, let's get on a different screen here. It's easy to change it. What you do is you press this button over here, and you can see I'm set on logging data right now. Well, I don't want to be on that. What you do is go to gauge selection. Now first let me show you a gauge layout. If you wanted to do a different layout than this, that's 6 gauges. I think I have on there. I could do 8 if I wanted to, which is a lot of gauges. And I like a lot of gauges because I'm a gauge watcher. Okay, so you go over here, and then you come down here to gauge selection, and then we go over here, and okay, what it does is puts the gauges up there that are up there now. So this, in this first field you got RPMs. Well, let's say I want to change that to AGT. Okay, now this is category. You can either choose them by category or you can choose them by group. I'm going to go by category. So EGT would fall into temperatures, right? So temperature, and let's see if I can keep from moving the damn thing. So there's your ambient temperature. Let's see what that is. Let's go with that. And then let's go with the next one. There's boost. We don't need boost right now. So let's go with, staying with the temperature theme. We'll go to, here's your CAC, which is your cooler, which is your cooler, your intercooler. If you wanted to look at that, you could do that, but I'm not going to do that. Let's see what else we got here. EGR temp. We've looked at that. Engine coolant temp. Let's see what our engine coolant temp is. Of course, you got that on the dash, so, but we'll just put it up there anyway. So I forgot where we were at. Let's go back and look. Okay, so anyway, I'm not going to belabor this. It gets monotonous, I know. So, you know, you can, here's your categories. You just pick them. For example, transmission. You saw I had voltage up there. Vehicle performance. But there's a lot of good things up here you can look at. Pressures, different things. If you prefer, you can choose by the group. It just depends on how you want to look at it. Engine performance, you know, fuel system. That's kind of interesting too, because you can troubleshoot your injection pump and that sort of thing. Your fuel rail pressure right here. I like to use the category. So let's look at the category. It just seems simpler to me to go with category, but that's a personal thing. Let's look at our fuel pressure. That's it. I think that can be a good one. So here's your fuel rail pressure commanded. That's what the ECM is saying. I want the fuel injection pump to put out this amount. Then your fuel rail pressure would be, let's go down here and then go to category again, go to, let me get my big shaky hand out of the way, pressure, and then we come down one, and that would be fuel rail pressure. So now let's just back up and go back to the screen. Okay, we're looking at our fuel rail pressure right here in PSI absolute. So it's 7351, 7335 or so, 74. They never run exact, I can tell you that from just looking at them. And they bounce around pretty good, as you can see, but they're very close. You can see they're very close. And that's all you need to worry about on this as far as I'm concerned. As far as the how close those two run, you know, it's very sensitive. So now as far as logging, this button here, if I hold it down, it'll shut the logging off. I like to have it on auto log. That way it's like a black box in an airplane. Whenever you are running your truck, you're logging. What do I log? Well, you can see right here, gauge logging. Before you can do anything with your logging, you got to stop logging. Okay, so to stop logging, we hold this down like that. Otherwise it's not going to let you, because it'd probably corrupt the file. So we come over here to data logging. You may see this right here and say, what is that? Logging rate, 1 hertz. I ain't sure why it's in hertz. You can log from 1 to 20 parameters per second on this thing. You can see here logging. Okay, I could clear them all and start over, which I'm really not going to do. Or you can add all of them. You probably go and add all of them and then go through them and say, nah, I don't need that, and look at them. And if we get to one that's clear, you'll see that I'm not logging that. So my mode is log every damn thing, right? Log everything you can. NOx, your sensors, I can give you a lot of information on whether or not the your emissions equipment is working properly and whether you've got a bad NOx sensor or something. So that's kind of handy. That's going to do it. I know it's quick and it's not complete, but I wanted to try to cover that. If anybody has any questions, put them in the comments and I'll answer them. It's you know, pretty simple little gauge. It's easy to use. It's expensive. This was about 500 bucks. I've used it a lot in my videos, and it comes in really handy. But what I like about it is if you have a problem on the road or something, you can always go back and see, well, what went wrong here? What happened? How much did I overheat, or what happened, you know, to different things on it. So I find that handy. The other thing that I wanted to mention too is you can clear codes with it. Anyway, that's it, guys. I wanted to show you this real quick. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, as I said, put them in the comments. I'll answer them. Thanks for watching my video, and until next time, adios.